Hey guys, welcome to my wrap-up video slash significant book haul. But first, a little bit of sad news. Unfortunately, I learned earlier today that we've lost Pax Panic, a booktuber. Very sad news. I mean, it's a beautiful day here in Boulder, Colorado. I'm outside in my backyard. Birds are singing, the sun is shining, but not everyone is happy, not everyone is well. And unfortunately, Pax Panic has lost her battle with cancer. So my sincere condolences to anyone who knew her, who feels saddened by this news, anyone, any family member, obviously a fan. So yeah, it's a reminder of how precious life is and how much we have to enjoy these amazing moments when things are going well. Yeah, we're very fortunate to be alive, and whenever someone passes away, it should be a reminder to us to be happy, to smile, to help each other a little bit more, to make each other's days better, to be positive. There's so much negativity out there, especially in this digital space, I feel. So this is an opportunity to remind ourselves of that. So yeah, rest in peace, Pax Panic. I've watched a few of her videos. She was always so positive. So I'm definitely saddened by the news, as many people out there are. But let's move on and let's talk about some of the books that I've read recently. So first off, let's start off with the book I just finished, Authority. I finished it last night, stayed up till about midnight reading it. I really loved it. It's part of the trilogy, the Southern Reach trilogy. I read Annihilation, which is the first one. It's a great book. I highly recommend it. If you like the feel of Annihilation, I think you're gonna really love the feel of Authority as well. And I haven't read Acceptance, which is the third one, of course, so I don't know how that's gonna hold up. But Authority was amazing. Just as good as Annihilation, which I was a little bit worried because online I've read some things that maybe book 2 is not as good. It takes you out of the area X area that is this mysterious. We don't know if it's alien invasion or if it's alternate universe opening up. We don't know what's going on there, but it's getting bigger, this area, and it's threatening the world. And in book 2, we are at the Southern Reach, which is the organization that is supposed to study this mysterious being. And guess what? Things are weird inside the building. It was just as good as Annihilation, maybe even better in some ways. I was really impressed by Jeff Vandermeer's, and I can't go into it because there's so many spoilers as soon as you go in. But I'm really impressed by how Jeff Vandermeer was able to put us into an office setting and still retain the incredible visceral kind of vibe, atmosphere of the book 1. So really good follow-up. The world expands in book 2, and now I cannot wait for book 3. I am going to read it soon, but I am going to take a little bit of a break. I like to mix it up. So yeah, also just recently I read Ken Liu's Paper Menagerie. Let me know if you've read this one. Let me know what you think about the Southern Reach trilogy, if you've read it already, if you're going to read it at some point. This book of short stories was incredible. I didn't realize how much science fiction there would be here, but it's such a great variety. Obviously, the titular story, everyone has probably heard about it. So good, so short, so powerful. I'm an immigrant myself, and this really resonated with me. I mean, just my parents, they don't really speak English all that well. So this story, I'm not gonna get into it to avoid spoilers, but it needs to be read by anyone. I mean, it's worth price of admission paying for this book just to read that story, but you can probably find it online as well. But some of the other stories were incredible. The regular sci-fi story that is a detective story, a mystery, great science fiction elements in it as well. There is a psychopath on the loose, a serial killer, fabulous story. There's so many of them that were just so good. The Waves, what an incredible story of humanity, moving past, living on Earth, moving past our bodies, transcending. And all these stories really relate to the immigrant experience. There's one, I don't know if I'll find it, the title of it, I think it's All the Flavors, something like that. It's a story about the Chinese immigrant experience in, I think, Idaho City in the 19th century. Fabulous story. What an incredible story, the way it mixes the lives and the struggles of the Chinese men who were building railroad and then escaped because they were tricked, lied. They were basically slaves, and then they're trying to assimilate, and how people of Idaho City view them. And it just felt so authentic. Such a great story. And I had no clue that at one point towards the end of 19th century, a significant population of Idaho City was Chinese. And then, of course, politically things have changed. So yeah, very interesting story. Hit me very hard as an immigrant myself. Of course, coming from Europe, I have a different experience than perhaps Chinese or Japanese citizens. It's a different experience for sure, as far as some of the things they had to go through. But still, I can relate to some of the aspects. So I really enjoyed that. I read Ursula K. Le Guin's The Lathe of Heaven not that long ago. I'm gonna link in the description my review of this book, because this is such a great book. And if you were thinking about getting into Ursula K. Le Guin's writing, I think this is a great start also. It's not relating to her Heir cycle. It's a standalone. It's a great book. It's short. It's fun. Anyway, check out, if you're interested, check out in the description below the link to my full review of this book. It's really fun, quick read that opens your mind up to so many possibilities, and it's the dreamy feel of it is fantastic. So I really enjoyed that. I also read, actually listened to Ursula K. Le Guin's Rocanon's World, which was good. That is the first installment in the Heir cycle. Heir cycle is, of course, includes books like The Dispossessed and Left Hand of Darkness. They're all standalone books, but they are in this larger world. Rocanon's World is the first book. I never read it before, so I listened to it. Listening, I found is not for me, even though the voice of the reader is incredible. I forget his name right now. I'll link the info here.
The little brown animal came hopping toward him. "Lord," it cried thinly. "Lord! Oh, come, come! Oh, come, Lord!" Rocanon stood staring. The little creature sat down on its strong haunches in front of him.
But I just cannot connect. I need to be looking at a page. I need to be reading myself. Listening, I find it fun in the beginning, and then I notice that my mind is just wandering. So I'm gonna have to reread the book, actually. So yeah, let's talk about some of the books I'm excited about reading. So I think next up is going to be Cixin Liu's Death's End. This is the last installment in the Remembrance of Earth's Past trilogy, and I cannot wait to read this book. So I think I'm gonna do it. I've been putting this off, but it's time. It's time to end this trilogy, this saga. I love the first two books because of the concepts. Of course, when it comes to characters, very thin. But yeah, I'm really curious to see how things end, and I know this is going to be on an epic scale, thousands, maybe millions of years into the future humanity. So I'm really curious, and of course Ken Liu was the translator for this one, so I'm also looking forward to reading it because of that. So let's get into the book haul portion of this video, starting off Memory Called Empire and Desolation Called Peace. I found this used book for I think $6. I couldn't pass it up, as I've heard so many great things about both of these books. In fact, Memory Called Empire, of course, was a Hugo winner when it came out, and Desolation Called Peace, I think, came out earlier this year, or maybe end of last year. The sequel to it, political drama, fantastic technology that I'm really interested to get into. Yeah, I'm really curious about these books. I'm definitely going to be reading them sometime, probably towards the end of this year, thinking about, you know, everyone has a kind of a vision of what they want to read. Let's talk about, I don't know what to reach for next. Blake Crouch's autographed copy of Pines, the Pines trilogy. I only bought the first one. I don't know if I'm going to love it, so I want to find out. Blake Crouch is hit and miss for me, but the Wayne Ward Pines trilogy, I think, is going to be fun. At the very least, I heard that it's like Twin Peaks. It's got that Twin Peaks vibes to it, which is amazing. I love Twin Peaks. I love the feel of it. Reminds me again of Annihilation, which I think works very well. So maybe if this is somewhere between Annihilation and Twin Peaks, I'm gonna be a happy reader for sure. So we'll see. And one thing about Blake Crouch for sure is when you pick up his books, they're fast reads. So it's not gonna be boring, and we'll see if it really connects emotionally with me. Next one, Adrian Tchaikovsky's Shards of Earth. This is the first one in the final architecture. I'm really excited to find out what this world is all about. Of course, I love Children of Time by Adrian Tchaikovsky. He's a great author, also someone who's able to, in my opinion, combine kind of dense sci-fi elements with a story that just like propels you, and it's unputdownable. So I'm really excited about this one. Next one is Stanisław Lem's His Master's Voice. Polish original title is Głos Pana. That's one of the few Lems that I have never read. And when I saw this at my local bookstore, I picked it up. I'm really curious to read it. I've been wanting to read Lem in English, as I read most of his books in Polish, many of them years ago, so I'm rereading them now. But I'm curious about His Master's Voice. This is a first contact novel with a little bit of a different twist. I'm curious how it holds up. We'll see. Next one. This one I'm really excited about. Sometime in the 90s, I forget what year it was, I picked up Heir to the Empire and read it, and I loved it. The story was fast-paced. Of course, I don't remember much of it anymore, but I don't know, just when I saw this on the bookshelf, it sparked some memories, and I had to get the whole trilogy, and I'm really excited to read it. I love Star Wars, of course. I know Star Wars as science fiction reader is not, you know, on top of anyone's list. So, I mean, it's basically fantasy, and nothing wrong with fantasy. I love fantastical worlds as well. But I think if I remember it well, and let me know if you've read these, if I remember well from the 90s, Heir to the Empire, it was really well written. It was really a good book. So I'm curious to reread it now, see how it holds up. Of course, when I read it in the 90s, my English skills were, reading skills were lacking. My vocabulary must have been much smaller than it is now. So I'm even more excited to get into this right now, and hopefully sometime this year, maybe even soon, Jesus, because these are just like books that you can read as you're reading something else, right? Let me know if you've read these. Let me know what you think. Of course, any of the books that I'm talking about, if you have any comments, please let me know. I mean, I've read a lot of science fiction over the years, but there's just so much out there, and the more I'm diving deep into it, the more books I'm finding, the more books that I've missed. And here are some classics that I have not read. The Forever War by Joe Haldeman. Such an interesting, I don't know if you can hear that, but we have a woodpecker, so there may be a little bit of noise. Anyway, Joe Haldeman's Forever War is one classic that I definitely am embarrassed not to have read to this point, but I will make amends for that, and I'm going to read it sometime this year. A great book, written 1974, the year I was born. I say great book because that's what I've heard from others, including Richard from Vintage SF. So yeah, I'm really excited about this one. Disillusionment with War, time dilation. Yeah, I can't wait to get into this. Let me know if you've read Forever War and what you think about it. Now, here are 3 books. These were really cheap hardcovers. Ian M. Banks's Hydrogen Sonata and Look to Windward. I do have Player of Games, and this was on my list of books to read in the Culture series, of course, as I have not read any books in the Culture series. I don't know which one I should start with. Let me know if you've read all of these, or if you've read some. Let me know if it even matters which book you start. I know they're all kind of standalones, but maybe there are some books that are just better suited to be the first one in the series. So please let me know if you've read any of these. I was going to start with Player of Games because by many it's thought to be the best of them all, which seems like a good place, but who knows, maybe it's not. Here is The Ferryman, a new release. I'm glad I got the signed copy. It's always nice to have that, by Justin Cronin. A new science fiction book. Pretty long book, so I'm hoping this will be worth the read. I've read nothing but good things about it on Goodreads, so I'm pretty excited about this one for sure. But you never know. So if you've read this already, please let me know in the comments below if it's something that you enjoyed. It seems to be a book that most people do like. There are twists in it, yeah, I don't know much about it, but I picked it up, and I'm gonna read it, and I'm gonna review it, and hopefully I'm gonna love it, because The Ascension, which is a recent release, really let me down. So I'm hoping I don't have to always go back to the classics to get quality SF writing. China Miéville's Embassytown. I've heard a lot about this. People have I don't remember who it was, but I've had this book recommended to me several times. So I'm excited about this. I was looking actually for City in the City when I found this one. So let me know if you've read Embassytown, if it's good. I don't know anything about this book, honestly. I have nothing to say except the fact that I'm gonna hopefully get to it sometime this year. Oh, and look at that. Blake Crouch. We talked about Blake Crouch's Pines trilogy. Recursion is another one that I haven't read. Dark Matter, I think, is the only one that I read by Blake Crouch, so that's not a lot. But I like Dark Matter. It was good. I didn't love it necessarily. I felt that the writing was kind of simple, but the story was really good. It was a fast read, So Recursion, I imagine, is going to be at the very least like that. And last but not least, not an SF book, but An Immense World by Ed Yong. I've heard, again, great things about this read. It's about the world that surrounds us. It's about how we all, as animals, live within our own bubble, essentially. A bubble of how we perceive the world. Each animal, of course, perceives the world in a different way. So obviously a snake's relationship with the outside world is going to be completely different than ours. A dog, I have 3 dogs, they perceive the world in a different way. So this is supposed to be an amazing book that talks about the differences, what makes us different, what makes us similar, that how these bubbles sometimes overlap. Did you know, for example, that crocodile's scaly face is as sensitive as a lover's fingertips, that the eyes of a giant squid evolved to see sparkling whales, and that even simple scallops have complex vision. We learn what bees see in flowers, what songbirds hear in their tunes, and what dogs smell on the street. So yeah, this is again a great book to read in between science fiction books, and I'm always looking for stuff like this, because while I do read a lot of SF, mostly SF, I do like to mix it up as well. So let me know what you think about this video, and yeah, once again, just a reminder to be happy, be positive, be nice to others, make the world a better place. You know, let's do that one person at a time. Please leave me a comment below. Let me know what you think about the books. What should I be reading next? Maybe out of these books, if something really stands out to you, let me know. I'm looking forward to hearing from you. See you next time.